Christmas time is here again. Christmas time is here again. Ain't been mine since you know when. Christmas time is here again. O-U-T spells out. Hi everybody, welcome to my latest little YouTube video. Today we're going to be celebrating the Beatles at Christmas because it's coming up to Christmas time again, isn't it? Now in the 1960s in the UK, we used to get, I can't remember because I'm far too young, but most Christmases you'd get a brand new Beatles LP and a single. Not every year, but most years. So in 1963 you got With the Beatles album, and you got I Want to Hold Your Hand. In 1964 you got the Beatles for Sale LP, and you got I Feel Fine single. In 65 you got Rubber Soul, and you got We Can Work It Out stroke Day Tripper single. In 1966 technically didn't get a single, but you did get the first UK Beatles compilation album, a collection of oldies but goldies. In 1967 you got a double EP in the UK of Magical Mystery Tour. In America you got the album version of Magical Mystery Tour, and you got the single Hello Goodbye. In 1968 for Christmas time we didn't get anything, and in 1969 Christmas time we didn't get anything. Also in 1970, by then the Beatles had broken up, but if you was in the official Beatles fan club in the UK you got this album, which is From Them to You, or From Then to You, which is a collection of all of their Christmas flexes that used to go out every year. So you got one from 1963 all the way up to 1969. They consisted of fragments of songs, the Beatles doing comedy sketches, telling jokes, basically messing about. The early ones are probably the better ones. The later ones from 68, 69, it is basically, you might get odd snippet of a song and then it's just basically Hello Happy Christmas and things like that. So there were six of these were actually released in the 1960s. A few years ago they did sort of like re-release these as a limited edition box set on one-sided vinyl singles, which if you try and get one now you're talking anywhere between £100 and £200. This original UK album, if you got the original one, again it is worth between £100 and £300. In America it came out as the Beatles Christmas album, I think, with a completely different cover. Like I say, the highlights of this are from the 1963 to 1966. 1967 is good because it does have the Christmas Time is Here Again song on it as well. And then I say 68 and 69 are basically when the Beatles were getting a bit fed up of being the Beatles, but they are still nice to have. I've had this LP for a few years now, and I will admit it is not an official LP. It's a bootleg or a counterfeit or whatever you want to call it. At the time I bought this, I think I paid something daft like £10 for it. You can still buy them off eBay and places like that and other selling sites, but this one is good because it does actually come on the Apple label. Sound quality on it is okay, to be honest, for saying, it isn't quite official, but if you haven't got £200 or £300 to spend on an album that you only really ever play a few times, whoops, he says, so throws it on the floor. At least it does prove it's live, doesn't it? Yeah, £10, I've got no problem with it. I've played it a handful of times. If I had the original, what would I do? I'd play it a handful of times. So I haven't really got any qualms with that. I would have liked to have got the original ones, but the original flexi discs go from anywhere from like £30 up to £100 each. So yeah, it is on the Apple label. You can get one which is on the Lintone label, I think it's called, which was the people that actually made the flexi discs as well. And I think in America you got it on a slightly red Apple label, didn't you? I think in America it's made out to be a fan club record, wasn't it? So that is the one from the Beatles themselves. Also on Apple in 1972 we got the Phil Spector Christmas album. Although Phil Spector doesn't appear on it, Phil Spector is the producer. I think this was a reissue of an album from the early 1960s. Again, it is a really nice album. Came out as AppCore 10, so it's mono, it's not stereo, it's just a mono album. You've got all the favourites on here. You've got like White Christmas and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and what else we've got on it, Silent Night and things like that, with the stars that he was associated with before he actually worked with the Beatles. That is the track list in there. I don't know if you can see that. And I think that is actually Phil Spector on there. These are quite fairly easy to come by, but for get anything that's in really nice condition, it's quite hard. Again, I've had this for a number of years, played it a handful of times. That is the A side or side 1. Then that is side 2. It is a nice album. I usually play these when we're wrapping Christmas presents up. Because when else are you going to play it? You're only ever really going to play it at Christmas time, aren't you? Again, you can pick these up off certain internet selling sites, anywhere between sort of like, you might be looking at a really battered in copy for around the £5 mark. Something like this, which is really nice, you're probably talking £15 to £25. There's also a demo version of this, which has a demonstration label on it, and I think this was re-released in the 90s, but it wasn't on Apple as well. But yeah, that is a cracking album. Now we move on to the solo Beatles Christmas gifts to us. The first one off the mark actually was John Lennon, with Happy Christmas, War is Over. In America you got this in end of 1971, but in the UK we had to wait till 1972 to get it. So it's Happy Christmas, War is Over. It's John and Yoko and the Plastic Ono Band with the Harlem Community Choir. Catalogue number is R5970. Like I say, this is the British copy. The B-side is Listen, the Snow is Falling. Yoko Ono with the Plastic Ono Band. And this is the standard sleeve that it came in the UK. But the nice thing about this is it's actually on green vinyl. Now, why it's on green vinyl and not white vinyl, I don't know. Because it would have made more sense to be on white vinyl, wouldn't it, if it was Christmas song. Lovely song. It's one that is always played at Christmas, and to be perfectly honest, that is one of my all-time favourite Christmas songs. I never get tired of hearing it. It's like that and Slade Merry Christmas Everybody. As soon as you start hearing them, you know it's not going to be long before Santa's coming to see you. So that was the first one, technically 1971, but in the UK we got in 1972. I think it was something to do with copyrights. Then we've got one from George. Now, is this really a Christmas song or is it a New Year song? Ding dong, ding dong. Ding dong, ding dong. Ding dong, ding dong. I always think it is a bit of both. Because it's got sleigh bells and stuff like that on it, hasn't it? And obviously it's got the bells. Ding dong, ding dong. So it does always remind me of Christmas. This came out in 1974 and was off his 1974 album, Dark Horse. On the Dark Race Course. Don't think it got very high in the charts. Lovely song. It's not one you very often hear on the radio or anything like that. If you look on YouTube, there is actually a video for it, which is actually quite funny. Again, you can usually pick them up for around the £5 mark. This one, the Happy Christmas, War is Over. The original UK green vinyl is usually around the £10 to £15 mark. There is also a black vinyl version from the same time, which, to be honest, is roughly worth about the same. but that's for the original ones. Obviously this has been released over and over and over and over again. Wasn't that a Dave Clark song? Over and over and over again. Do, 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 do. So that's 2. Ringo Starr, unfortunately I haven't got it. He actually did a whole album of Christmas songs, didn't he? Wasn't it called I Want to Be Santa Claus? Unfortunately I don't have it on album or CD. I have listened to some of the tracks through Spotify and things like that. So I can't really review it as such, but if you've got Spotify and stuff like that, just download a few of the songs. That's all I'll say on that one. It is a good album. Again, it's something that you're only ever going to play at Christmas though, isn't it? This is the thing about Christmas albums, isn't it? I think they'll always have like a little special place in people's hearts or memories or stuff. But you're not going to play them in summer, are you? And things like that. You know, you're only going to play them once a year, if that. But there is a place for everything and everything in its place. Finally, we've got Paul McCartney. Although it's credited to Paul McCartney, it's actually Paul McCartney and Wings, and it's Wonderful Christmas Time. And I'm surprised that Paul waited till 1979 to do his Christmas single on Parlophone. And on the B-side, you've got Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reggae, which is a reggae version of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Again, this is one that gets played a lot around Christmas time. I do like it, but to be fair, and I mean this most sincerely, it's not one of the best Paul McCartney songs I've ever written. It's a nice Christmas song, don't get me wrong. It is a really, really nice Christmas song. Like I say, you know, when I hear it on the radio or on VH1 or something like that, you know, I will tap my foot to it and sing along to it. But out of the solo Beatles, I think, to be perfectly honest, John did the best Christmas single with Happy Christmas War Is Over. But again, that is just my personal opinion. You might not agree. You might think that's the best thing Paul McCartney ever did. Or you might think that's the worst thing John Lennon ever did. And then, like I say, is Ding Dong really a Christmas song, or is it a New Year song? But then again, Happy Christmas War Is Over is both, isn't it? Because it just say another year over and a new one just begun. So I think them two you could class as being like the same, but that is just basically a Christmas song by Paul, or Paul McCartney and Wings. I can never understand why Wings weren't credited on that, to be honest, because they're in the video, aren't they? So are they essential to have? Probably not nowadays, because you can probably get that, the Paul McCartney and Wings one and John Lennon one, on countless Christmas compilations. The George Harrison one is a completist. Yes, you've got to have it, I suppose. I do like that song. I really do like it. It wasn't that big a hit in the UK. Obviously, after John got murdered in 1981, Happy Christmas War Is Over actually got to #1 in the UK charts, I think. I think it did. I think it was that, then Imagine, and then Woman Want It, or something like that. I can't remember. The Phil Spector Christmas album, yeah, that's a brilliant one to have. And like I say, if you just play it while you're wrapping your Christmas presents, or sometimes we'll have this on Christmas Day morning while we're unwrapping our presents as well, because it is a nice one to listen to. Not really much Beatles involvement apart from it's on Apple, really, is it, to be honest? But like I say, it is a lovely album to listen to, and it is one that you will really enjoy listening to. As for this one, From Then to You, that is one for the completist only, to be honest. If you're like me and you're a Beatles fanatic and you've got to have everything the Beatles ever recorded, yeah, it's for you. If you're a casual fan, probably not, to be honest. I like it. I mean, I must admit, I do like this album, and I do think it's one that possibly Apple or Universal Music, or whatever they're called nowadays, could actually think of doing a re-release in the future at Christmas time, so that fans could actually get a proper copy of it. Like I say, I paid £10 for this many years ago. You can still get them off certain internet reselling sites, but they're not £10. You're probably talking 50, well, 30 to £50 for one of these now, if you can find it. The American one, I think, is more counterfeited than this one, from what I can make out. There is somebody selling one on eBay as we speak with the American one, but it's got a red label or a red cover, and it is made to look like the American version of this album, and I think it is on red vinyl, and I think that's up for £35 at the minute. Obviously, if you haven't got it, you know, it is something to look forward to, but would I pay £200 to £300 for that? No, I wouldn't. Honestly, I wouldn't. That's just my opinion. Yes, I would love to have an official copy of it, don't get me wrong, I would. I really would. And I missed out on one a few years ago. I think I went up to £100 on it, and I think in the end I got outbid by £10. It went for 110. But then again, it wasn't anywhere as nice as this, or, you know, condition. I guess I know this isn't the original thing, but it's just one of those things, isn't it? But have you got the original one of these? The UK version? Have you got the original American version? Was you lucky enough to be in the Beatles fan club in the 1960s and got all the flexes? Because if you have, you're actually sitting on a small fortune if you've kept them in really nice condition. The thing with the Beatles flexes were, the Christmas flexes, they weren't actually ever made to last. They was on really thin, and I mean paper thin, vinyl, and I think it was only really made to be played a few times. So, you know, there's always going to be a place for things like these, whether it's an unofficial copy like this, or a counterfeit, or bootleg, whatever you want to call it. You have got the singles box set that came out a few years ago of the Christmas songs as well. Again, you're talking a small fortune to buy them. If you want this on the original Apple release, again, small fortune. Are you going to pay a small fortune for something that you're not really ever going to play that often? It is nice to have. Really is nice to have. So on that note, I think we will leave it. Whatever you're doing, please stay safe, and just remember, you know, here in the UK it is the 5th of December today, so it's only 20 days till Christmas. 20 days till the big fat man comes down your chimney, and you don't know, he might bring you a copy of this. But if you do ever see an original copy of that and you can afford to buy it, I would recommend that you do try and get it, because I think, in all honesty, the original ones of these are very scarce. They weren't ever supposed to be released to the general public. They were just for members of the Beatles fan club. That one's getting quite rare as well now, to be honest. So I hope you've enjoyed this little video. Thank you to everybody that is subscribing, liking my videos and leaving comments. And if you're not subscribed and you like what you see, do me a favour and just subscribe. It is free. It doesn't cost you a penny. And anything that is free in this day and age has got to be good. Even if it is just old bloke mumbling about his records. You know, so peace, love and happiness to you all. I don't think you'll get another video now until it might be 9 or 10 days, because I'm back at work and I am on the dreaded 8-day shift of working 12 hours. And then I think I break up on around the 15th or 16th, and I'm off for about 10 days. So hopefully I will be able to make a couple of videos before Christmas. But just please stay safe, and just remember, Beatle Dave loves you. And I do mean that. And thank you, by the way, thank you to everybody that is subscribing to my channel. And I do mean that sincerely. You're a wonderful bunch, and we are just like one big happy family now on this little channel. So like I say, peace, love and happiness to you all, and whatever you're doing, take care, and ta-ra for now, my ducks.